is the Spartan Swinger, Brian Carlucci, a.k.a. Brian Danovich from the WWE's $1 Million Tough Enough Challenge. I was the guy that got hurt and still competed. Oh, you are listening to In Your Head Radio, the greatest radio internet talk show live.
All right, we're back, and we're joined by Matt Cappotelli. Welcome to In Your Head.
What's going on, man?
Oh, doing good. And yourself?
Can't complain, that's for sure.
Cool. So you're telling us you're heading down to the OVW tapings tonight?
Yeah, we're going down, check out the show, see a bunch of the guys, and kind of be back in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Is it, who in, like, OVW right now do you think is really, like, maybe the standout guys? Maybe you don't want to answer that. You might get some heat.
Man, yeah, it's tough to say. There's,
if you don't mention everyone.
A couple of my favorites, I like Deuce and Domino, the Untouchables. They got like a 53-shirt gimmick.
Right.
I think it's real good, man. I really enjoy their stuff, and hopefully they're next on the block to get the call up.
Mm-hmm. You think that gimmick would work on like Raw or SmackDown, or even ECW?
Yeah, I would say either Raw, ECW, probably. More of the gimmick shows rather than the pure wrestling one, SmackDown. But I don't know. I think it'd work anyway, really.
Mm-hmm. You think like the debut of ECW kind of helps out, gets more of a guy's a chance to debut on TV?
Absolutely, man. It's a whole new brand with a whole new roster of jobs, basically. Guys who weren't on any show before, or got lost in the shuffle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great place. It really helps. Really helps, boys.
Have you been watching it, ECW?
Yeah, I watch it.
Do you enjoy the product?
Yeah, man, I enjoy it. Yeah, I like it because it's different,
Yeah.
There's always needs to be an alternative. Things get too stale, you got to switch it up.
Mm-hmm. Were you a fan of the original ECW?
I didn't get it in my area when I grew up, so I only saw it on occasion, whether it was tapes or however I could get it. So I can't say that I'm a big fan of it, but what I did see, I definitely liked.
Yeah. So what have you been doing to keep yourself busy here while you haven't been wrestling?
Just all kinds of stuff. Just I've been doing some speaking, some youth groups and things like that. I've been doing interviews like this, and getting on, getting my website updated, keep people in the loop with what's going on with me. Really just whatever keeps me busy, while I'm waiting to get my next MRI.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling health-wise?
Man, I feel great. God's blessed me with very little symptoms of what I'm dealing with. Things could be a whole lot worse, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was just taking it day by day. It's all I can do, and staying positive about it.
Yeah, you think keeping a positive attitude, you think that'll help in the long run?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've faced different things in my life, obviously, that have brought me down, but nothing like this. And, I just really think everybody gets thrown something at them in life, and I really believe that, how things turn out is really dictated by how you react and how you deal with them.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to return to wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one would be wrestling,
Right.
Number two or three would be in some aspect in the business, Who knows what that'd be? Yeah,
it's true. Once you get into wrestling, you think you kind of you get the wrestling bug. You want to work in it somehow.
Yeah, you want to stay around it in some fashion. Ultimately, it's performing, and then somewhere else is a secondary, but it's still better than nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, our third co-host has no-showed us again, so if you ever want to keep busy, we can always bring you in as the guest co-host.
Absolutely, man.
You got a question from the message board, Incher?
Big Red, he wants to know what you did in your audition tape for Tough Enough.
Oh, man. Thanks. I did, I was playing football in college at the time, and And one day I grabbed my roommate and we just went into my football locker room, and I did like everything from. I just cut like a couple promos, just kind of off the cuff, just kind of went and talked about whoever and whatever, and I did some agility stuff and just all kinds of stuff to show that I was an athlete, in the locker room there, and with the promos. That's basically all I did, just talk junk about whatever and tried to make it entertaining.
Was anything too embarrassing?
No, I don't think so. If anything, I probably tried to embarrass somebody else.
All right. Did you ever check out any of the other tapes, like some of the guys that made it into like the finals?
Did I ever see the tapes of them?
Yeah.
Man, I saw, not on the actual TV show. I didn't see any of their tapes, but I saw one of my other buddies' tapes. He made it to the call out in L.A. with it, before they chose who was going to be on the show. I saw one of his. His was unbelievable. He does impressions. He did like impressions of The Rock, Austin, Rico at the time, and a few other guys that were just. And he does Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was just hilarious. I've never seen anything that good.
Mm-hmm. You think maybe that'll make a good DVD? They put out like the best and the worst of tryout tapes.
Oh, I'm so surprised they hadn't done it, because when you send your stuff in, you basically, you have to sign over exclusive rights to the, whatever you do, whatever you send them, so they own all the footage and that stuff. And I can't believe they didn't do it. I know I'd buy it.
Oh, I would too. I'd definitely buy that. Maybe down the road, like maybe some of the guys make it a little bigger into wrestling. And they could like show, this guy sent in a tape,
Great.
What was it like? Who told you like that you made, the finals? You made, into the tryouts.
Well, I think it was more production people that called me initially, and then when like the final call after the audition when I was in Chicago, it was from John Gabork. He had called me and said, "Hey, you made the finals," kind of thing. We're flying you to LA. All that kind of stuff. So he was the one who called me at the final stage.
You surprised when they called you?
Yeah, I mean, I was more excited, I think, than surprised, really. Because anytime you got a call from, during this whole process, anytime the phone rang, you're on the edge of your seat.
Right.
What it's for, who it is, and it was just, man, that was a exciting time, just not knowing. Exciting and frustrating, not knowing if you're going to make it or what's going to happen. So,
yeah. Someone here in our chat room, Loomis Fargo, he wants to know who your favorite wrestler was growing up.
Oh man, when I was a kid, probably Savage, Steamboat. I was a big Rick Rude fan, and then later on I got a little more into Hogan and Warrior when I was at the time, I guess.
Right.
Stuff.
Did you pattern your style after any of those guys?
I like to. I don't know if I pattern it off anybody in particular, but I like to take little things that I see the guys do really well that I'm entertained by and try to incorporate it into my own style, I guess.
Now, what did you think about a lot of people compared you said that you looked like Flying Brian Pillman.
Yeah, a lot of people did say that, and I mean that's a huge compliment. And I'm actually dying to see that DVD.
Oh yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one.
No, that was definitely a compliment, and I remember Flying Brian from WCW, and it's I vividly remember it, but man, just the stories you hear, and actually Arn Anderson was one of the biggest ones because he was so tight with Pillman. And he'd always call me Pillman when I saw him. And it was just like, kind of humbling to say that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big Arn Anderson fan, too.
Yeah.
You got a question from the board, Incher?
Ashley wants to know who is the most opposite of their gimmick in OVW?
Most opposite of their gimmick?
Like the gimmick they portray.
Probably... I'd have to say, I don't know what you guys got a bunch of names. Ryan Wilson, Titus, Triton.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's Jacob Duncan. He's doing like a sling blade kind of mountain man cannibal type gimmick. It's really good, man. I don't know if they're gonna go with it or not, but yeah, he's not anything like that.
Oh, okay. I say that one's not just his real personality stepped up a notch.
No,
Not really cannibal.
it could be.
Right. What he does in his private life, his own
I
business.
don't think he'd go around telling people.
I won't speak nothing.
Did you have any pro wrestling training at all before you joined Tough Enough?
No, I was playing college football. That was the only training I had.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever do any like backyard wrestling?
No, never did any of that. And I honestly never even knew like how to even get into wrestling. So I never even knew there were independent promotions when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I met one of my good buddies, Colt Cabana, in college. We played football together, actually. We played for a year. And that's basically how I even found out there were indies.
What do you think of backyard wrestling?
I mean, dangerous.
Right.
Crazy, some of the stuff I've seen. I mean, you look at both ends of it. These kids are giving everything they got just because they enjoy it and love it. And, it's tough though. If you're not, getting paid to put your body on the line like that, it's just like, man, it could be over in a second. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I would never do it, but, I understand why people do it.
Someone here in our chat room here, Jobber to the Stars, to know if you have any good rib stories.
Good rip stories?
Rib.
Oh, hey man, Rip Rogers.
Oh yeah, we used to talk about Rip Rogers.
Jeez, Rip Rogers in himself is a story. Rib stories, man. The last 8 or 9 months have been so crazy that off the top of my head I can't really think of anything. But I'm sure there's many. The last few months have been kind of hectic for my brain.
There's a lot of ribs playing back and forth on Tough Enough with Al Snow.
Oh yeah.
Was he a ribber, in OVW too? Or was it more just on the show?
Yeah, it was more on the show. He's the head trainer here now, so he's kind of maybe has to tone it down a little bit.
Right.
I guess I'll claim myself as one of his biggest rivals, I guess, when he was first coming down here. But it's kind of cooled off a little bit, and we haven't had any run-ins as of late.
He also asked, I'll word it differently, he wants to know about female fans.
He wants to know what?
Any good stories about any female wrestling fans? He used a different word.
Right. No, not really, man. I'm recently married.
Oh, okay.
Here, so.
Good Lord, Jack. Why are you asking?
Anyway.
I'm not trying to get him in trouble or anything.
Oh, no.
Dan316, he wants to know, what do you think about Jim Cornette?
Great. Genius, for the wrestling business. Entertaining as heck, his promos, and I really enjoyed working with him. I was very fortunate to come in and be able to work and learn from him. Same with, Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm. How would you compare them, Paul Heyman and Jim Cornette?
Like oil and water. Complete opposite, minds, I think. I mean, they're both brilliant for the wrestling business, but I think they have completely different concepts of what it should be and what it is. And, Jim just kind of held on to the old school style of wrestling, and Paul is more on the edge, where he wants to push the envelope and cutting edge, pop culture, more recent characters and stuff like that. More excitement and extreme stuff. Which I think it both works. It's just a matter of your audience. And in Louisville here, it's a really old school crowd. So
right,
that stuff was great and worked.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, you think maybe some of Paul Heyman's ideas could be better for the guys to become prepared for WWE if it's more hip.
For sure, man. He, when he was here, you ran it just like it's run on Raw or SmackDown. And when I was working under him and everything, it was, man, I was more prepared than I had ever been. If we were getting a call up or whatever, and just the gimmicks and ideas and the storylines and the way that he built the TV show was basically mimic what we would have to do. So yeah, definitely.
After you won Tough Enough, do you think were you treated any differently? You think because you were a guy that won Tough Enough, and the other guys in OVW were they were paid less and everything?
No, absolutely not. If anything, I was under the gun more than anybody else. Coming in a different way, which is seen as the easy way or whatever. Guys are gonna have their guard up a little more and want to test you and say, hey man, let's see if this kid really wants it and see if he didn't pay his dues like everybody else that was there might have, and they want to make sure you're there for the right reason.
Right. Dr. A.T. Warren Esquire, he wants to know. No, it could just be Bob in my chat room. He wants to know if you have any contact with any former Tough Enough contestants.
On a real sporadic occasion, I've talked with Justin. He's called me a few times. I pretty much lost all touch with Jonah. I don't know if I heard he ran into some legal problems, and I haven't spoke with him since. Yeah, that's about it. Actually, he's out your way, right? Massachusetts.
Yeah, I think he was on TNA at one time, and then.
Yeah, that was kind of it.
Yeah. Did you watch TNA at all?
Yeah, I catch it on occasion when there's not an OVW show that I'm at or whatever. I catch it.
Yeah, cool. A lot of people have been asking here. I don't know if you'll talk about it or not, but your relationship with Bob Holly.
We're best friends.
Okay.
No. I actually haven't talked to Bob in a long time. And he's been battling his own health problems as of late. And ever since the show, man, the incident happened, and I was green as could be, and didn't know what was going on, man. I was just out there like totally confused as to what was going on. I mean, now I understand why he did it. I don't agree with it, but I know why he did it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you look at it differently now that you've been in wrestling, for a little while?
I wouldn't say I look at it differently. I can understand a little bit more why it happened, but that doesn't change the fact that I don't agree with it.
Right.
Back or now. But no, there's, I haven't held a grudge. There's nothing like that. Bob's always been helpful to me since then. And, that's great.
Who would you say has been the most helpful with your wrestling career?
Man, pick one person. That's tough to do.
Well, you pick a few people.
Man, I go, I definitely say Cornette and Heyman for sure. And another guy who's been a real big help is Tommy Dreamer. Especially when he was in charge of, talent for OVW developmental guys and stuff. And he was coming down with the shows and stuff. And man, he's helped out a tremendous amount. And all the guys that have come through or that were here in OVW, the Conways and Dinsmores and Bashams and all those guys that were here when I first came in, aside. And everybody helped, man. It was like a family down here. Everybody was looking out for everybody else.
That's good. You got another question from the board, Incher?
Extreme Falls, he wants to know, did you ever call Bill DeMont Hugh Morris during the Tough Enough series?
Yeah, it's actually funny, because when we first met him, like the first time the trainers all introduced themselves, he was Hugh Morris. And then, like, partway through the training, he came in one day and said everybody down was, like, dead serious and made a big deal of saying, I am no longer Hugh Morris, because they were bringing him back and Bill DeMont.
Right.
So we couldn't call him Hugh Morris anymore. And it was like, right then he kind of switched gimmicks on us. So it was like, but yeah, I kept calling him Hugh for a long time. Stretch me or whatever.
How would you, do you think he was a good trainer, Bill DeMont?
Yeah, I mean, the trainers were different. They brought different aspects. And, Bill was definitely intense, and it was more of like, I don't know, I compare it to like a military type training where it was just like, squats and crunches, and just constantly going and just killing you, around the ropes and just blowing you up like crazy work. Al was more of a, he was, he taught us fun in the ring, but he was more, the thinking man's trainer, I think. So I really enjoyed the both aspects of that.
Was training, was it harder than you expected it to be?
Well, I don't know if
Or did you expect it to be?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be, they're offering a contract for, for something for professional wrestling, the only company going. It's, you don't see that. So I knew it was going to be really hard, and I prepared myself. And like I said, I was playing college football before, so, I didn't have a problem busting my butt training because I've been doing that. And so I prepared myself really well, and, I'm glad I did because it showed that first couple of weeks, man, people were dropping like crazy.
Did you see anybody there you just thought, these guys just didn't have it? They didn't even want to be a wrestler?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. You still see guys like that at OVW every now and then, come in from who knows where or whatever, and they get weeded out real quick. And it was definitely more so tough enough than now.
Yeah, would you say, for like the most part, guys that were wrestling fans before they come into wrestling have a better chance of making it?
Yeah, I think so for sure. You'll see guys who just don't, they don't get a lot of things because they didn't grow up watching it. And when I was a kid, I believed it 100% when I was a real little kid. And, it makes that much more real throughout your whole life. You learn a lot more and you look at things a lot different. And, I think it's definitely, if you're not a fan, it's going to be a lot harder for you.
What did your family think when you told them you want to be a wrestler?
Man, I didn't even tell them until I was going to Chicago for my audition. Like, it was like weeks of interviews, and I had to send them videotapes and all that crap. And I was just like, I'm not going to say anything until I had to. And then I had to go to Chicago, so I'm like, well, I got to tell them now. And I had watched since I was a little kid with my dad. He was the one that took me to the shows and all that kind of stuff. But I think they both thought I was a little crazy at first, but they supported me 100%. So
yeah, they knew it was what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who were like some of your dad's favorites?
My dad?
Yeah.
My dad was a huge heel mark. Like he hated all, because when I was a kid, I loved all the good guys.
Right.
And he hated them, man. So he was that's why I was so into Rick Rude, because he loved Rick Rude. And I don't even remember DiBiase, and I don't even remember Rick Martel. All these guys. Roberts, So he was a big heel mark. And, I was kind of the opposite. Like, well,
why does Dad hate Hulk Hogan?
If he went to one of my shows now, he'd probably boo me.
Man, you'd have heat if your dad's booing you.
Yeah, right.
What were you saying, Incher?
Oh, I was just like, why is Dad booing Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
He wasn't into the Hulk Hogan comeback, big boot and leg drop.
He hated the promos. He hated the promos. He turned the TV off. Like, Dad! Did it.
How do you think you do in promos?
Yeah, I like them. If it's something where somebody gives me like verbatim, I hate it.
Right.
They just give me like a couple bullet points. Like, all right, we want you to hit these points and just let me go. Then I'm really comfortable. I'm a lot better like that.
Were you surprised when they let Daniel Puder go?
Yes and no. I wasn't surprised because they were paying him a ton of money and really weren't getting anything back from it.
Right.
I was surprised because he was, at the time, you didn't have an MMA, style gimmick type thing that had some credibility because, it is part of what he did. And, I thought it was interesting. I think what Paul Heyman did, I don't know if you see in the OVW, but the way he had built up Pewter on TV down here was really good, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think he used it.
Yeah. I think he was tagging with Kennedy for a while, too.
Yeah. Kennedy, was putting him over, just with the intro every week.
Right. Are you, proud when you see some of the guys, you work with in OVW, making a WWE?
Oh, absolutely, man. Every week, I see somebody new, and it's just like, man, it's awesome. I don't know who was the first, but Spirit Squad were some of the first guys going up, recently. And it's just like, man, it's awesome to see those guys. Most of the guys are, I'd say 99% of them are just great guys, and they work hard. And I've worked with them here in OVW, and it's just, it's motivation for
Jeter a lot.
back. Yeah, with Jeter, Tom.
Do you like that gimmick, the Spirit Squad?
Yeah, I loved it, man. When they first told me about it, I was like, oh man, because I'm more for entertaining, gimmicks like that where it's, it's different. I like different stuff. Some of it gets, kind of silly, some of the gimmicks, but
right.
I thought that was great, man, and it was different, something nobody's really, really seen to that extent. They're all really good at what they do, so.
Yeah, I don't know if you read any, the newsletters or anything online, but a lot of, Meltzer used to say that the Boogeyman, that people actually thought he was crazy in OVW.
Man, the Boogeyman. I asked a question earlier, who's the farthest from his gimmick? Who's probably the closest to his gimmick? The Boogeyman. No, he's a great dude, man. And Marty and I cover similar backgrounds as far as, having a football background and stuff. And I think it takes a little bit of a crazy person to play football at the level he played at, and to come into wrestling at, he's great, man. I can't say nothing bad about him, but he's a character, that's for sure.
Was he eating worms back then?
Oh yeah. He actually, you want a quick funny story?
Oh, definitely.
Just let's say he moved back down. He's down in Louisville now, and rehabbing from his bicep or whatever. And he lived in these. You basically rent. They're like apartment complexes or a hotel, and you rent a room weekly. You pay weekly, and he was staying there. And back right before he hurt his bicep, he stayed in this room, and right when he left to go to Alabama to get worked on, he left all his worms and liver and all the stuff that he'd come out with in his room. And he came back, and it was just obviously you can imagine what it looked like. He'd get out of there.
Yeah. I always read that a lot of the different things, like his antlers and stuff, were all his idea. You know if that's true?
Oh yeah, he created that character from day one, as far as his look, everything he wears, to what he does, to how everything is created from him. Man, he's really, really smart as far as coming up with ideas and different things for his character. And he was given that idea and just took off with it completely and made it amplified more than you could ever thought. I'm sure there's plenty more to come.
Are you happy to see Nitro getting a big singles run?
Oh man, yeah, that's awesome. I love watching him. He's one of my favorites to watch on Raw. And seeing him go out there and just getting the push he's getting and just maturing and being the star that he has become, man. He's come so far. And he can hang with anybody now.
When they were talking about bringing you up to WWE, was there any gimmicks or names or anything that they proposed to you?
No, the last thing they were going to do was they wanted to do a reality type tag team with Mike the Miz, and that was the last thing. And they were going to call it Reality Check or something. They had a bunch of different names, and so that was the last thing that they had come up with.
Did you ever think of any kind of different names for yourself in wrestling besides Matt Cappotelli?
Not really, man. If anything, I would just try to come up with some gimmicks and stuff like that, or at least, I don't know about gimmicks, but just I don't even know, man. It's tough. That's some of the toughest part about wrestling is coming up with a character that's you, you know, and how you can incorporate it into the ring. Because, you know, you can come up with gimmicks and stuff, but you can't always do it in the ring. So that's tough, man. And I've always been thinking, and, you know, for a while, Jeter and I, you know, we were the Thrill Seekers version 3, whatever, version 4. Right. And, so we were doing like the kind of the extreme sport kind of deals, like an updated version, something like that. So that was really about it at that point.
Was it a lot different once you started wrestling on TV than, like, you know, wrestling and training?
Well, man, it was weird because when we first came down here, when John and I first, you know, reported to OVW, we trained for not very long, and, you know, we started having dark matches, you know, before the OVW TV, so we'd have dark matches. So we were kind of in the mix pretty quick, and then, you know, we worked like, you know, babyface matches most of the time, and then, you know, Cornette decided to team us up. We kind of ran from there. So it was definitely different, just getting time cues and stuff like that. It's pretty intense, man, when you're in there and you got to make changes on the fly, and, you know, you're as green as we are.
Tell everybody check out your website at www.matt-cappotelli.com.
Yeah.
You got T-shirts up there. You got some Q&A up there. Anything you want to? What was that?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just anything you want to tell your fans before we end up the show?
Man, you know, I can't stop thanking people for the support. You know, people that a lot of people don't even follow wrestling. Will drop me an email and just say, hey, man, I happened to see your speech, your video, you know, on WWE.com or on your website, and, you know, or a friend told me about it, and I don't even like wrestling, but, you know, your story, you know, inspired me or touched me, you know, in a way that you don't really see in wrestling a whole lot. And it's just, you know, the support like that, man, means everything to me. And, you know, from day one when I found out about, you know, my diagnosis, it was, you know, my goal is to inspire people and to make this a positive thing and do whatever I can to, you know, tell people that, you know, whatever crap is thrown at you in life, man, there's always a light, and you just got to keep pushing forward.
Whose idea was it for you to do the speech on TV?
It was a combination. I found out my diagnosis in the morning, actually, the morning of the TV show. And for weeks, Paul was kind of like, hey, we want to let the people know what's going on, but I'm not going to do it until you know, what actually is going on. And that morning I called him and said, hey, Paul, this is the deal, man. And he goes, well, when do you want to do it? And I said, let me do it right now, you know. So he just cleared open TV, and then I talked to him and Danny Davis, and they were kind of like, we're just going to give you an open forum. Just do what you want, say what you want, no rules, just, shoot, whatever. So I came in about a half hour before I was going to go on, not even, probably about 10 minutes before I was going to go on, and I just kind of snuck through the back, didn't talk to anybody or see anybody, and then just basically walked out into the ring. And that was it.
This is Chris Nowinski, the only Harvard graduate in the history of the WWE, and you're with InYourHeadOnline.com.